Good morning. Can y'all hear me okay this way? Okay, good. Yeah, I think so. It's good? All right. Good to be with you this morning, Riverside. I am Reverend Karmen Michael Smith, and I was with you, as Pastor Mia said, back in June. And so I am grateful to my friend, my that woman, because she is I'll put it like this, Reverend Mia preaching and sang in McLean. I appreciate you and thank you for this honor and your leadership of this house. I don't know if y'all know, and especially online, but Riverside, it's that place. So y'all need to go to that website, click on a few links, go to that Instagram at Riverside DC, and make sure you are connecting with this house here in DC that is doing things, have been doing things, ain't new to this, true to this, because they knew like that. They knew like that. Okay, just so you know. But I'll hurry up and say all of this to get out of your way and get to why you have me here. But I was here in June and I was talking about this book, Holy Queer, The Coming Out of Christ. And it's a book about identity and reconciling your faith with who you are and how you love. And it just so happens that today is the 2-year anniversary of this book. So I am here on this day again with this book. So I have a few copies with me if someone would want them after service. And to make a formal announcement that my new book comes out on March 4th, that Tuesday, The 4 Laws of Disruption. And it is a guide to personal liberation and radical transformation. Now, it's for this time. It's about you. It ain't focused on nobody else but you disrupting your own life and changing the things that need to be changed and get rid of that stinking thinking so that you can live your highest and fullest expression, as the word says, so that you can have life and life more abundantly. So I had to set this up like 2 hours ago, so don't laugh at the site, but 4lawsofdisruption.com. Each one of you, I'm giving a free ebook to. Just go ahead and put your email address in. So it's for you. So if you want the book, I will send you the book on Tuesday, 4 Laws of Disruption. We like free. I also want to say to this amazing artist in residence, Mr. Burgess, and your entire music ministry here. Y'all are doing the thing. We did not discuss any of this. We did not talk about what I would be preaching, what you would be saying, what you would be singing. It is all aligned. So I'm glad that we are here on this day at this time. I'll be reading from Exodus 16:4-5 and Matthew 14:22-23. Now, for those of y'all who went to Sunday school and remember all of that, this is when, God leaves the people out of Pharaoh and into the wilderness and they make the golden calf and all that. It's that story. And then we move on down into the New Testament when Jesus feeds the 5,000. I know if you didn't go to Sunday school, you've been on social media where the people are saying, maybe they fried fish, maybe they had tuna fish, but it's that story so that you are not confused. It's a long text, so I'm just going to summarize. In the Exodus 16, then the Lord said to Moses, I am going to rain down bread from heaven for you. And each day the people shall go out and gather enough for that day. And in that way I will test them, whether they will follow my instruction or not on the 6th day when they prepare what they bring in. It will be twice as much as they gather on the other. And down in Matthew, after feeding the 5,000, Jesus walks on water. Peter steps out of the boat, but when he takes his eyes off Jesus and focuses on the wind, he begins to sink. Jesus reaches out to save him, saying, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Let us pray. God, I thank you for this opportunity to bring your word and what you have given. Lord, let this not be about Karmen, but be about you. Let them not see me, but see you. Let your word go forth and convict the hearts of man. Reach everyone who needs to be reached. Touch everyone who needs to be touched. Give a miracle to everyone who needs a miracle. For God, we are your people, and we open ourselves to what you are saying in this moment. Now, Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be holy and acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. And let us all say, Amen and Ashe. So let's get to it. I get it. I've been listening to all of y'all online, because that's where we talk to each other, since November, December. Thanksgiving didn't feel like Thanksgiving. Christmas, don't even feel like Christmas this year. The new year didn't feel new. My sister just said, my birthday didn't even feel like my birthday. And I know some of y'all said, it's Valentine's Day, but I ain't in love. It don't feel like love to me. Because we've been chasing a feeling, chasing what we know and how we know it, chasing the fullness of nostalgia, chasing the memory of what used to be. And when we don't get that feeling, that dopamine hit, we all panic. We think something is wrong, but what if God is saying in this moment, you don't need more of the same, beloved. You need to see what I'm doing in this moment. You need a miracle. So I came here to preach this morning, how much is enough? Manna ain't magic, it's a miracle, boo. So many moons ago, I lived in New York City, which is where I met Reverend Mia, and I walked into this fancy restaurant, and you know how they do, everybody's dressed like they're auditioning for an episode of Downton Abbey. And I sit down, and the waiter comes over. Now, they hold those plates real high, so I'm ready. They sit the plate down, and I see this little piece of food on a plate the size of my flat screen. And I'm thinking, wait, I thought it was about to go down. I look closer, and it's like artfully sneezed on a plate. You know what I'm talking about, like when they give you the food. And so I was like, excuse me, is this the appetizer? But the waiter did not miss a beat. Oh, no. So, no. This is deconstructed lamb with a whisper of rosemary. What am I supposed to do with a whisper? I came to eat. One tiny piece. And so I went in expecting to be full, to feel full. But what they were offering was something different. They wanted me to have an experience and to experience something different. And I almost missed it because I was stuck on what I thought it should be. That's what's happening in Exodus. See, the Israelites have been delivered from Egypt. They were free, but freedom doesn't always feel like free. Not like you imagine, because freedom comes with responsibility. It came with the wilderness. It came with being hungry. They started complaining to Moses and Aaron. God's people started complaining to Moses and Aaron. We had pots of meat in Egypt, and I'm sorry, y'all forgive me. Let me read what the text actually says. It says, the Israelites said to them, if only we had died at the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt. You know we can be dramatic. When we sat by pots of meat and ate our full of bread, you have brought us out here in the wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Did you hear it? We sat by pots of meat, but had our fill of bread. They could smell it, but they couldn't taste it. They could sit near the pots of meat, but they couldn't partake of it. It's like wealth is marketed to us here. You can go to work and you can be in the 401k and you can pay into Social Security and you can invest in the stocks. And every time you think that you are just going to be right there in it, you can be near it, but you don't get to taste freedom. You get to sit by pots of meat, but you can't eat the pots. You get your fill on bread. That's not good eating. That's like that whisper of rosemary. You get the whisper of meat. And in all their complaining, they forgot that they were enslaved. Can you imagine? You've been liberated. You are free. It don't look like what you think it looked like, but now you are complaining, not to God, but to God's leader at the moment and say, you brought us out here to die. Why did you do this? Because back over there, we got to sit by pots of meat. We forgot that we were enslaved, that somebody had to tell us when to eat and tell us when we could sleep and tell us when we could come out and go in. And somebody had to tell us when we could take vacation. Somebody had to tell us when we could be approved for sick leave. Somebody had to tell us all the things of when we could come here, leave, do what we need to do, live about our lives. We forgot that we were enslaved. We forgot that we were enslaved. We forgot it. We remembered the food, but forgot the chains. And I believe some of us in here today are already complaining about our newness because we forgot what it used to be like. And God said, but I hear you. You complaining to them, I hear you. I will provide. And God rained down manna from heaven every morning, like dew on the ground. And the people gathered what they needed for that day. They gathered, like you talked about, what they needed for that day, because God was teaching them, I am enough. Now remember, if they gathered too much, the excess would spoil. So they could only gather what they needed. And Moses commanded them at the end of this to let an omer of it be kept throughout generations, that generational teaching, in order that you may see the food in which God fed you in the wilderness and brought you out of the land of Egypt. Now, don't get me twisted. Manna ain't magic. It's a miracle. Now, I'm going to need some of y'all to brace yourself, because I know you think that miracles are magic, that it's an illusion, and that Jesus was just this supernatural magician walking around and performing magic tricks. But I remind you that John 14 tells us that very truly I say to you, the one who believes in me will also do these works, but greater works than these. So there was no magic. And so today, I apologize if this hurts your feelings, but I'm going to attempt to remove the stinking thinking that Jesus is out there and not in here, and that only Jesus can do and you can't, because manna is not magic, it's a miracle. And A Course in Miracles say that a miracle is simply a change in perspective. So when Jesus is out here turning water into wine, he is changing your perspective on what you thought it was. Wine, they had already served the best part at the wedding. You know, you get the good wine first. And then his mother said, talk to these waiters over here, because we out. Yeah. And Jesus, I can almost hear him say, tell them, you know, like they do in a restaurant when you describe the food, tell them it's a whisper. This is wine. This is good wine. It has a whisper of rosemary in it. But it's a change in perspective, and the people can begin to see, I do taste a little bit of, and I do. And so it's a change in perspective. It's not magic. It's a miracle. And some of us need a miracle today. No, it's not as dramatic as your Sunday school lessons. I understand that. It removes that barrier, though, blocking your ability to do greater works. And God does the same. When they were crying about we need meat, God says, in the evening, quail came up and covered the land. He served the people meat. They asked for it, God provided. They asked for it, God provided. But in the morning, out there in the wilderness, there it was. Verse 31 says, the Israelites called it manna. It was like white coriander seed, and it tastes like wafers made from honey. They don't even know what this is. They talking about what it is like, because they've never had it before. It's manna, not magic. It's manna. It's a new perspective. Well, I don't know what this is, but I can only say, tastes like chicken. That's all I can tell you, but it's different. This is something new, not only in taste, not only in how it looks, but this is different in even how it works. We didn't have to work for it. We didn't have to work to sit by pots of meat. All we did was ask God, and God provided meat. We didn't have to make bricks to get it. We didn't have to wait till they pushed the line and the quota and the deliverables for us to get it. We didn't have to wait for the year-end bonus. God just provided. We didn't have to clock in 40 hours a week. Plus, God just provided. Daily, God provided. Daily, God provided. Daily, God provided. And God provides enough. God is showing them that provision doesn't always come like you think it comes. It doesn't always feel like you think it feels. It doesn't always look like riches. It doesn't always taste like meat. It doesn't always show up as a bi-weekly paycheck with the taxes already taken out. Provision doesn't always look like abundance. Sometimes provision looks like daily bread. But we struggle with that, don't we? We want a wealthy God to make us rich. But riches are just excessive things. You can be rich in anything. Them fancy bags you carry, I got a few myself. You can be rich in those, because you can only carry one. Well, you look kind of silly trying to carry 2 or 3 at once, but you can only carry excess. All them paper towels and toilet paper y'all storing up, excess. It's you're rich in toiletries. Just go ahead and say it. They ask you rich, yeah, I'm rich. Mm-hmm. But that's not what God is calling us for, because if riches is excess of things, then wealth is an access to all things. See, Warren Buffett once was asked in this interview, why don't you have a yacht? He says, I don't need a yacht. My friends have yachts. And what I can gather from that is he's saying, I don't need the excess of a yacht because I have access to yachts. And as a citizen of the kingdom, you have access to all things. You don't need to hoard everything. You have access. And that's what wealth is. But we always want more because we're worried about how we feel. We want to feel full. We want to feel the excess. We want the supersized meal. But we need to embrace the wealth that is God. So I ask you, how much is enough? Fast forward down to Matthew 14. Jesus is with this crowd. You know the story. They've been with him all day and they are hungry. And the disciples say, the ones who had been with him, watched it all, greater works. Watch this. The disciples say, send them away to get food, God. You feed them, he said. They hungry, they need food. You feed them. Now, wait a minute. I'm sure the disciples were standing there going, now what now? You want me to feed the people? But aren't you Jesus? Aren't you the one that followed? And you can do all this. He said, you feed them. And they responded often like we do when God calls us to do something. All we have is 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus blesses it, breaks it, and gives it to the people. 2 things here. All I have, or all we have, sounds like when you go to give somebody a gift and say, this ain't much. Just be honest, I can't see much. Maybe you have a miracle and you can see more out of this little that I see. Same way when they saw the promised land, the men came back and was like, oh, no, that's too much, that's not it. But it was Aaron and Caleb who came back and said, oh, we see the promised land. Sometimes you need a change in perspective. It ain't magic, you need a miracle. But see, I grew up poor. I don't know about y'all. I grew up with just a little in a small town, Texas, so I know what $40 can do. I often tell people in high places that poor people have more fun. Because if you had a birthday party with $40, you call your cousins, you call the neighbors, you call the family over. Somebody make a cake or get a sheet cake. You go get that already fried chicken and seasoned good from the local grocery store. You make a pot of spaghetti. Everybody has eaten. The kids are eating cake and playing. The teenagers over here doing all the new dances and over here making playlists. The grown-ups over here playing dominoes, spades, bid, whist. Everybody's having a good time and all on $40. But you say, this ain't much. But what you can do with the right perspective with this little bit. But also, if you can't see it, if you don't have the miracle, then I encourage you, just as the text, bring it to Jesus. It says they only had this, and Jesus said, bring it to me, and he broke it and he blessed it. And what could God do with your little if you give it to him? Some of y'all sitting here talking about all I have and what I need is I need a bigger light. I need a bigger band. I need a bigger closet. I need a bigger house. But what could you do with that little? What could somebody else step into your situation, your little apartment, your little voice, your little writing, your little typewriter, your little cooking skills, your little sewing skills? What could they do with your little bit with a miracle? Sometimes we have to step out of that and say, how much is enough? Back in the Exodus story, remember Moses commanded the people to take an omer and to keep it with them. I'm not going to hold you long. Moses said, keep your receipts. See, because, wish I had time, keep the receipts. Because an omer was an ancient Hebrew measurement. But I want you to get it, so I'm just going to tell you, it's called a serving size. See, if you ever read the back of the label of your food, it tells you the calories, the sugar, the sodium, the protein, etc. But it also tells you the measurements in the serving size. I grabbed these earlier. It says that these cookies that we eat the whole row or lay in the bed and eat a row and 2 and 3, And it says that the calories are 160 calories. Oh, that's not bad. And that the total fat is only 7 grams. I can do 7 grams. I can do that, God. Protein is 1 gram. I probably need a little more protein, but that's okay. I'll eat a few more. 160 calories is good, but the serving size is 4 cookies. See, some of us have not learned to eat on an omer. We want the excess. We want to feel full. We don't want what God is giving us. And Moses says throughout the generations, you leave a wealth for generations. You pass that omer down so that they remember how I brought you out. See, some of us need to look back at the omer, but we don't pay attention today. We just want to consume and consume and consume, even in social media, until we're full. But I believe this is how Jesus fed the multitude. If you will allow me, I believe that he instructed them. I don't know if it was fish fried. I don't know if it's this, but I know he gave them an omer. And it says that he instructed them. He said, bring them here to me, and ordered the crowds to sit on the grass. And I got stuck there in my preparation. I'm like, God, why are we sitting? There must be something important here that you said, now sit on the grass. It's because you wanted to feed. But there should be a line. Like if we're trying to get food and there's all these people, don't you want to? He says, sit down, because there's a delay. The communication between your stomach and your brain that tells you when you're full is called a delay in satiety. You start eating, putting the food in your mouth, and you're enjoying it. These cookies sure are good. And your stomach begins to stretch as food goes in. Hormones and sensors in your stomach start talking to your brain. And it takes 15 to 20 minutes for your brain to get the message, you've had enough. 15 to 20 minutes to know that you are full. By that time, your brain says, stop. You've already eaten past enough. You are already stuffed. You already got the itis. That's why slowing down and sitting down matters as you consume. It gives the body time to say, that's enough. It allows you to eat and be filled instead of carrying the excess of being full. This is why an omer, or a serving size, is important. The serving size is not about more. It's not about excess. It's not about abundance. It's not about riches. It's about how much is enough. Because just like in the Exodus text, excess spoils. And some of us are living in the manifestation of excess that has been spoiling our life and life abundant for years. Do you see it? We don't need magic. We need this miracle. God is consistent. From manna in the wilderness to fish and bread by the sea, God provides. It's not about how much you have. It's about trusting that God is giving you and has provided enough. Because some of us are just carrying too much stuff. We're weighed down by the past. We trying to recreate what the birthday was like Christmas was when I was 4 years old and everybody was here at the table and we trying to recreate all that stuff. We keep holding on to things that are spoiling our spirit. We have an addiction to excess in our lives, but how much is enough? Got too much stuff, so now everybody need a storage unit. Got too much house. Now we need more furniture, more bills. Now we got too much sugar. We need more insulin. We got too much salt. Now we need more blood pressure pills. We got too much social media. So now we all need therapy. We got too much debt and we all need more side hustles now. We got too much food and then we need bigger clothes. We got too much news and we need anxiety meds. We got too much work and can't find rest. There's too much comparison and we start looking for who we are in other people. An addiction to excess and too much stuff. And God is saying, let it go. Take what you need for today. Take what you need for today and trust me for tomorrow. You don't even know what tomorrow looks like. I create tomorrow. Trust me. Take what you need for today and trust me for tomorrow. Now, I know it's scary. This living day by day, not worried about the 20-year plan, that's new for us. It feels like we're losing control and not in control, but the miracle is in the trust. In times like these, in a moment when fear is used to control and manipulate people and is working against the people and causing confusion and chaos, Satan, I believe that God is telling us to walk on out of here. Walk on out into the wilderness, into the new, into the unknown. Keep trusting me, God is saying. My people, as they say in the Wiz, ease on down the road. But don't you carry nothing that might be a load. Get rid of that excess. Ease on down the road. And I know you say, well, how do you know this, Reverend Karmen? Because the Bible tells me so. I believe that it is no coincidence that the very next miracle that Jesus performs is walking on water. Jesus was displaying for us that when we trust and believe God to provide, when you stop carrying the excess, when you are nimble and light, and because you are no longer carrying a load, when you are easing on down the road, you start to walk differently. You start to walk differently. You can go places that you couldn't go before, and you can move and do things that you couldn't do, but greater works is what you're able to do. That's what happened to Peter when he stepped out onto the water. And as long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus, everything was fine. But the moment he looked at the wind and he looked at his fear, he began to sink. The moment that he began to watch the news too much, the moment that he was on social media too much, listening to the stories, the moment every conversation was about what's going on and what they taken away and what they used to do back in that other land, he began to sink because of fear. And some of us is sinking because we're looking at the wrong thing. We're looking at what we think we lost, looking at what we think we used to have, but it was God's anyway. Looking at what everyone else is doing. We're looking at our plans and our expectations of how it was supposed to be. And God is saying, look at me, my beloved, look at me. You're not going to sink. Focus on me, not on all this other stuff around you, because I am your daily bread. How much is enough? I am enough for you. Just focus on me. And when we get that in our spirit, when we get this miracle, when we start to move differently, when we start living light, we don't have to hoard a thing. We don't have to let the excess spoil in us. We don't have to chase anything. We don't have to prove anything to anybody, because we are living life and life more abundant. And I know that sounds really great and magical, but some things you get in the doing. It's easy to say, yep, that works. So I'm just supposed to go day to day and I'm a living witness. Back in January 22nd, I got a text message on my phone from a coworker at like 11 o'clock at night. If you know me, I'm in the bed. I'm old. What is this? Praying for you, sending you a hug. I said, okay, right back at you. And I turned the phone over and I laid down and I said, wait, why is she saying tomorrow at 4 p.m. all DEI employees are to leave the office? I was a DEI employee. I found out in the middle of the night that tomorrow I wouldn't have a job anymore. And I said, God, what are you doing in this moment? I don't care about that man, because we know that men come and go. Ideas last forever. I'm not going to fight that man. The idea of supremacy is what's reigning here. God, what are you doing in this moment? And it took me some time. So if that is to you, it will take some time. But I'll tell you, as he told the Israelites, gather up your stuff, get you some gold and stuff from your neighbor, gather up your resources and put that in your pocket. Maybe put a little bit at home too, because I don't know what the bank's doing. But you gather up your resources and you walk on out into the new. You walk on out knowing that you don't have to chase anything. You don't have to prove anything. You are already qualified because God has qualified you. And it may not look like a job. It may not look like abundance. It may not look like a paycheck that comes every 2 weeks with all the stuff taken out. But what you can do is trust God, because you keep your eyes on God and you will walk on water. Because how much is enough? God is enough. How much is enough? God is enough, because God provides daily, every morning, new mercies, every morning, new vision, every morning. You don't have to sit by pots of meat. You don't have to just look at everybody else get it. God is providing even in this moment, but you don't need magic. What you need is manna. You need a miracle. And a miracle is just a change in perspective. And so I don't know who came this morning, but I want to let you know that if you change your mind, if you look at what you're seeing differently, that God is providing. God is providing. Hallelujah. God provides. So why do I worry about my life when you've come through 1,000 times? Every other voice, it is a lie. God provides. God provides in ways I can't explain and can't deny. The little that I have, He multiplies. Just when I feel He won't show up on time, God provides. He'll come through when the clouds of doubt rain down on you and test everything you thought you knew. Now you finally see what God can do for you. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide. God provides. It's hard to say when there's no food to eat, or what you see fills all that life can be. And will this be another year of misery for me? But my faith can't survive on just the things I see, and my feelings can't control my destiny. See, God, I only want what you believe for me. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide. God provides. God before your eyes. Oh, He will. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide. God provides. He will provide. Yes, He will. Before your eyes, God provides. Whatever you need, I know that He will provide. Yes, God provides. See, He's done it before, and He'll do it again and again and again and again and again. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide.